10-8 podcast. Gervonta Davis versus Tank Crawford, or Tank Davis versus Bud Crawford going crazy on the internet. John Scully makes a tweet saying he believes Bivol hasn't healed fully and they're about a month away. Tim Bradley hating on Canelo. What else is new in boxing? We're going to get into that right after this. Right after this. Yeah, make sure y'all like, follow, hit the notification button. We are live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You know what I mean? I had to bring on my guy. This is my favorite guy to interview. I say it all the time. The legend, my guy. John Iceman Scully. What's up, brother?
How you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I've been enjoying all of the everything that I've been seeing in regards to just what's transpiring in boxing. We had the Ring Magazine Awards this weekend, right? Was it this weekend? This past weekend, I'm sorry. Everybody pretty much was in the building. I'd say about 75% of the major hitters in boxing. Some people were left out. Some people felt the way. There's been drama going everywhere. But I actually bring you on because of a tweet you made that I thought was kind of overlooked, and it was very interesting to me. And the tweet was this right here. You stated, I remember after the last fight, I was in the ring immediately after, standing right next to him. I think you're talking about Bivol. And I spoke to him a little bit. His left eye was pretty messed up. I said from the beginning that was a quick turnaround that favors Arthur. It looks like his eye has not healed completely. Now, we're about a month away. This is a big fight. A lot of people did say that was a quick turnaround. That was a picture, if I'm not mistaken, from the awards. Right? I mean, is this mind games, or is this how you really feel? You feel like, hey, I think...
Listen,
Bivol,
I mean, I've never had a bruise that was still there 4 months later. Like I've never had bruises don't last that long. Mm-hmm. So that's telling that he's got that. And it makes sense just because, number one, like I say, when we were in Saudi Arabia in the ring right after the fight, I went over to him. I wanted to give my respect to him, and I remember thinking, wow, his eye. I didn't realize how messed up his eye was, and how blue, purple, or whatever. I'm colorblind, but it was black and blue. Mm-hmm. And then when I heard about the fight happening so soon, when I first heard, like when Mark told me we're getting ready to go in February, for like 3 weeks after he told me that, I thought he meant we're fighting somebody else. I didn't think we were fighting Bivol in a rematch that fast. And then I read on the internet, I go, Mark, you talking about we're fighting Bivol again? Like that quick? Like that never happens. That never happens. It used to happen back in the old days. But now for someone to turn around and fight again, I respect it 100%. But it definitely favors us, 100%. It favors us, and that picture, seeing him bruised up like that, just solidifies it, verifies it, backs my claim up.
Now, some people were saying that it might have been from sparring or whatnot. You're not buying that. You don't believe that.
It's a pretty big coincidence, and I mean, if it is, it's like, all right, so that's what's getting damaged now. So if he's getting that in sparring, what's he going to get in the fight,
What advantage? So let's just say, is it possible for your body not to be fully healed, so maybe that's why you start getting injured or stuff starts to show more blemishes and stuff like that? What happens? How much time, actually, let me ask this. How much time do you need to recover, especially after the punishment he took? Because he admittedly did say he took punishment in that fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you need like it's a 4-month turnaround basically, right? November, October, November, December, January, February. So 4 months. It's basically 4 months later. So that means you only have a couple months to recover because you got to start training again, 8 weeks at least. Ideally, I wouldn't want just 8 weeks of rest and 8 weeks of to start training again. That means you got to start sparring again. You got to abuse your body again. Now granted, it could mean nothing. Ultimately, when the fight happens, we might not see any indication of it at all. But I'm saying it's certainly more possible than if we took 6 months to do the rematch, 8 months to do the rematch. I said from the beginning, and I'm sure I told you the first day, I said the quick turnaround favors us for sure, 100%.
Does that leave you more susceptible to injuries or cuts? Or because I remember some people say like you get a cut, that cut got to heal for a while. You could get easily cut. Can that happen with like bruises like that and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, your body is what it is. Your body's not meant to get hit, and it's not meant to take that kind of damage and get bruised up and banged up. It doesn't recover quick enough. For to have another fight, I think. But again, it could mean something mentally. He's got it on his mind. I mean, I'm sure he's not a stupid guy. Like he looks in the mirror and he's thinking, man, look at this. I'm getting bruised again. Like, is this what's going to happen now? And is it going to be even worse? Because we did, Arthur did that to him fresh. Now he's coming in damaged already.
And not to
is he
mention,
going to take that damage again?
Yeah, and not to mention, in his head, and I've heard him say this, he felt like he has to be more active, which means engaging more, which means trying to put more pressure, landing more shots, which is going to leave him susceptible to getting hit.
Right.
And again, you said if he does that, you believe it is a knockout. Do you believe him looking in the mirror, seeing the bruises and stuff like that he'll be less likely to engage, even though he knows he needs to win that way, or more likely?
I would think he'll probably have a plan, right?
Yeah.
And Mike Tyson, like looking really deep into what Mike Tyson always says, like everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
That is more true than people could imagine. Like you could be in a fight and planning it out, and you've been planning it for weeks, what you're going to do. And you get in there, as soon as you feel that power and your brain feels like it's got a knife in it, and you're saying, okay, I got this isn't how I pictured it in my head. I have to alter things. The one thing that I think favors us, he's already felt Arthur's power. Now he felt it. He was moving a lot, so he felt it, and it is what it is. And I'm not blaming him, but he didn't want to really feel it anymore. You know what I mean? He was moving more than usual. So that's fresh in his mind. And when he gets hit again, and I can tell you this, Arthur is different this camp, and I like it. He's more intent on doing damage, and he's more focused. We talked about it the other day, right before he left. We had to talk about a certain strategy and that I was, hoping for. And he's like, yes, this is what I want to do. And I go, yeah, that's what I want you to do too. So we're on the same wavelength for sure.
So you guys are actually making adjustments as well, even though
for sure. And that's the thing. And I really believe this. I believe the adjustments need to be made on both sides, right? We have stuff we could do better. I believe we can do things better. I don't think he can do things better because it's one or the other. He's either going to say, okay, I got to box better, I got to move more, I got to be slicker. Well, he moved too much the first time, and that's why he lost, because you can't win the undisputed title being on the run. You gotta engage, right?
Yeah.
So he can't move more. That's out of the question. But by the same token, he doesn't want to punch more. He doesn't want to trade punches. He doesn't want to become a banger, because he didn't hurt Arthur. And Arthur, obviously, no matter what he says, he could say, oh, Arthur never hurt me. But yeah, but, you were on the run quite a bit. So either he did hurt you and that's why you're on the run, or you felt the potential to be hurt and you got on the run. But either way, you don't run that much fighting someone that you're not leery of. You know what I mean? If I fight a 10-year-old kid, I'm not going to get on my toes and box and move. You know what I mean?
What's the difference, or how big of a difference is it when you fight a fighter the second time around? Clearly, when you fight the first time, you don't really know you can't gauge his power. You can't gauge how fast he is. There are tendencies that you don't do. But the second time around, how much different is it, or is it not different at all?
Well, it depends on the guy, right? Because there's so many different things that could happen. You know what I mean? Like you're fighting a guy, and like I said, he may have fought Arthur, right? And he fought Arthur, and he got away. He moved a lot, and he didn't feel the power, like the flush power, right? So he felt strength, but he didn't feel the flush power. Now, as time goes on, he might say to himself, "Yeah, Arthur didn't hit as hard as I thought he was going to. Maybe I could. I'm a good fighter. Maybe I could trade a little bit." But then you get in there and you slow down a little bit more than you did the first time. And now you give Arthur that opportunity to hit you with the punch that he wanted to hit you with the first time. So now you're like, man, this guy's punching harder than he did last time. And it's like, no, he's not punching harder. It's just you're giving him more opportunities because you're more confident based on the first fight. So it's a tricky thing. You can't get overconfident based on things like that. You can't be underconfident. Every fight's a new fight. It's a new day.
Psychologically, though, coming off of a loss, right?
Yeah.
How difficult is to kind of, especially he believes he won the fight. He feels like it was close. How difficult is it mentally to prepare yourself? Like, you thought you did enough, you didn't do enough. I mean, mentally, how do you get back to? Because everybody says boxing is like 90% mental. How do you get back into that frame of I'm unbeatable, I can do everything? Because now there's a doubt. Now you've tasted the loss, so it's a little different now.
Yeah. I mean, it is a psychological game, 100%. And he's got an uphill battle because he's never lost before. And even if, like, in your mind you're saying, you go back and forth, right? Now say it was me. Say it was my first loss. Now I'm fighting the guy again. I say, man, I gotta beat him. I gotta even the score. And it's like, yeah, but even if I beat him, I still lost the first time. I'm still not undefeated. It's like a mind game.
Yeah.
And but I expect him to come out and obviously absolutely do his very best and come up with a different game plan because he's a champion. He's a smart fighter. The fight was razor close. He knows that he has to adjust. He can't do what he did. Obviously you can't win undisputed against Arthur if you're on the run, if you're moving too much. Because there was times in that fight where I was in the corner and I'm almost like, man, this freaking guy, like, he's running, he's moving, he's just moving so much. Like, the people don't want to see that. I appreciate great boxing, I really do. But there comes a point when it's just like, all right, it's just avoidance at this point. You're just trying to avoid action. And I think the judges know the difference between that.
Now, you said something that was interesting. You said it was razor sharp. It was razor close, right? Now, of course, it's not going to be the same judges. It's not going to be the same ref.
Right.
So, Arthur, as an individual, does he go in there feeling like, I can't do the same thing I did? I have to do more because these are three different sets of eyes now that are seeing it. They may see it a different way.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's focused on doing more for sure. But it's all within the technique of doing more. You're doing more because you have better technique and you're able to do more. Like a guy, if a regular guy fought Bivol again and said, I'm going to throw more punches this time, I'm going to be more aggressive. Well, the same thing would happen. Bivol would be boxing and you still wouldn't be able to hit him just because you want to. You have to know how to counter that. And that's where the adjustments come in. And like I say, I'll circle back to the fact that I believe adjustments need to be made on both sides, but we are the ones who have a better chance of actually doing that.
Now, I'm looking so forward to this fight, man. I can't wait to see it. I feel like it needs, and it's crazy because I feel like a lot of the nonsense in boxing is taking a lot of the promotion, and I love how they did the trailer the last time and things of that nature. But I feel like in boxing, in today's boxing, um, the trash talk, the trashing of people's families and stuff like that, has kind of taken away from how big of a fight this is. Like
Right.
I think people don't understand it, and you know, I've been watching all through the drama, whether it's Ryan Garcia and Devin, or today Gervonta and Bud going at each other, and I'm just like, dude, like, there's some great fights gonna happen. Why is everything else being talked about, but not this? And I think people really need to tune in to this fight. 'Cause I think it could be fight of the year. I mean these are two. I mean, and people need to understand too. Bivol is his first loss. He's never really went backwards in a fight till he fought Beterbiev, right?
Right.
He's a strong guy. Beterbiev is a tank. I mean, this is stuff made for legends. Do you feel like because they're European fighters or whatnot, that they tend to get less attention?
Honestly, I think they get less attention because they refuse to play the fool. They refuse to play the buffoon. Because if they were American, they if they're the same guy, it wouldn't matter. They're an American guy. But we see that, like, how many times do we have to see Ryan Garcia go face to face with some guy in a bar or a restaurant and talk trash? And how many times do we have to watch? How many times does that entertain you? Like, you go, oh, it's entertaining. I go, me personally, I'm not entertained in the least bit by this nonsense. It makes, and Tank, I don't know Tank, but man, him talking about Bud's family like that and his wife, like that's unforgivable. I don't, it's unforgivable. I respect Tank as a fighter. He's a good fighter and all that, but man, that's unforgivable. It's not right, and it's nothing to do with boxing promotion. Bud is a decent guy. He's a really, you can see he's a decent guy. He's a decent kid. That's not right, and I'm not a fan of that. I'll never be a fan of that. I do not respect that at all. And I think he could do himself a big favor if he would apologize to that man.
Segue into that, because that's part of the
apologize to that man's wife. You know what I mean? And not, don't do it in a fake way, but you know how many fans you would gain if you say, you know what, I was caught up in the moment, I was disrespectful, as a man, I'm sorry, and I would respect him. He would gain me as a fan if he did that. I don't think he will, but that's not that's not right.
And it's crazy, because I wanted to bring that up too, because even when we just asked about when I asked you the question about the Hall of Fame thing, he jumped out the window, insulted me, insulted you. I was like, insulted Arthur, but to me, I laughed that off. But you bring up his kids and his wife, and you called her all types of, I don't even want to say what he called her, but, I'll play it on the screen. But I just felt like, there's things on you that you've done that you don't want to come to light. And I feel like, you guys aren't that far apart to fight, you know what I mean? To be honest with you, right? Bud used to fight at 147. You fight at 130. You went to, I think, 140, I want to say 140 or 143 when you fought Barrios. If you really have a dislike for somebody like that, just go and fight them. But to insult the family, I did not like the fact that first of all, you referred to the 8 kids and the wife. First of all, Bud is a grown man for having a woman with 8 kids and taking care of them. There's a lot of situations.
And I guess, he's been with her for a long time. Like, this is a legitimate marriage. Like, they're together. He's a dad. He's a husband. It's if anything, if I didn't know either of them, and I don't personally, but if I'm new to the situation in boxing, I become a fan of Terrence right there today.
Yeah.
It's not right. I'm disappointed. I don't know Tank. I'm not his friend. I never met him. I don't know anything about him. But I'm disappointed in him as a man to doing that. That's not right. There's never going to be right. There's nothing he can say, and he'll be mad. Like, if he sees this video, he's gonna be mad at me, right? If he even knows who I am, he'll be mad at me, right? But It's not right, no matter how you slice it. And someone around him who he respects, I don't know who that is, but if he has a father figure or a guy that he respects, I would think maybe off to the side they'd tell him, like, man, that's not it. Like, you made a mistake, and as a man you should admit that, and try and correct that. And I think, not, like I say, not to do it to gain fans, but it certainly wouldn't hurt in the eyes of the public if he would do
No,
something.
absolutely. I mean, you can lose a lot of fans by that type of behavior. And I seen
Yeah,
a
that's
lot of
like,
people.
every guy has a wife, and every wife is not Halle Berry, every wife is not childless, and 23 years old. I mean, it's not right. It's wrong.
Yeah, and especially like Bud has 8 kids, right? So they can read, they can go on. My kids go on YouTube, and who knows if those kids are fans of you? Chances are those kids are fans of you, and to see them, you talk about their mother like that.
Yeah,
It's just like and I like Javante. I think he's a talented dude. I do critique him for whatever because I'm a fan. But and then the last show we did, we actually bigged him up for saying he wanted to take care of his daughters and be a man. But that type of behavior to me, you're right. It definitely deserves an apology. I didn't find it funny at all. And again, I agree with you. It would.
he's too old. Look, he's too old to say these things. Like, you got to leave that mentality behind at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you see a 22-year-old kid mouthing off, and and you go, what do I expect? He's not mature enough. But when you get 30, I think he's 30 already.
Yeah.
Once you hit 30, you can't do those things. You just can't. It looks stupid. Like, it really does. It's not cool at all.
The crazy thing is that the reason for the ill comments is because of this Crawford and Canelo agreement everybody's talking about that possibly is going down. And to me, I'm just like, dude, like, you weren't invited there. The spotlight is off of you, and that's what you're upset about, dude. Like, I just think, like, bro, like, Canelo went over there and made the fight happen that a lot of people wanted to see. Granted, some people say he's too big or whatnot, but it happened. So to me, I'm just like, dude, like, you're hating. Like, if you wanted to reach out to this individual, and you should have reached out to the individual, with being Turkey Al-Asik. He took shots at Turkey Al-Asik, called him, I don't even want to say what he said. And I'm just like, dude, like, I don't understand what's the malice behavior behind it. Like, why? Like, all this started from the awards and him saying, oh, I don't need you. All right, I get it. So then why are you upset that you weren't invited to the show? And then saying that these boxers, and Timothy Bradley said something that annoyed me. I'm going to play that. And he, basically like, you guys are going there and kissing the ring of the Sheik. I'm like, listen, we all know he got money. We all know boxers want to get paid. I don't look at it as kissing the ring, but actually taking care of your family. I don't think he's out there, having everybody kiss his ass. But I'm just like, dude, if boxers don't make a lot of money, you've known a lot of these boxers that weren't able to take care of themselves. So if they have the opportunity to, you're critiquing them for that. And I think that to me is whack, and it sounds, to me it's corny.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
I mean, what did you think about the Canelo Crawford announcement and stuff like that? Because that's pretty much what triggered everything that you see right now.
Right. I mean, honestly, I just, unless they know something that I don't, right? I just feel like Canelo's just too big and too strong. I mean that's a strong guy. No matter how you can, he's got good power. He sits down on his punches. Yeah. He's smart. He's dedicated. I mean, I just think he's too big. I just think he's just too big, too strong, and but when you're dealing with that kind of money, I mean, what are you gonna do?
The thing that gets me is a lot of people act like Canelo's just a big doofy straight ahead fighter, and I'm like, bro, he can box. Like,
oh, Canelo's sharp. I don't give anybody this. Now, anybody who hates on that guy, look, we were hoping to fight him with Arthur, and and I'm looking for a way to win and all that kind of stuff. But to imply at all that he's not a good fighter or he's a one-dimensional guy, like, you'd have to either be the ultimate hater or you're just really stupid. Like, you
Yeah.
don't know what you're looking at. The guy's a top class fighter for sure.
Yeah, and that's right. I've seen Timothy Bradley, and he's another guy who made these comments, and I like Tim Bradley, but I did not like this comment from Tim Bradley. I'm going to play this.
That's why I respect Tank. Hey, Tank, you got a new fan, dog. You got a new fan. You a real one, dog. As of late, you've been showing me you a real one. I like that. Yes, you've been showing me that you are a real one. Now, if you go over there and take back everything you said, and you kiss the ring too for 150 M's, because you know Shakur over there, and that's why I respect you. You know, you saying like, I don't need Shakur because you don't want to go over there. You don't want to kiss the ring. But if you go back on your word, then you're gonna lose a big fan, dog. And I'm gonna come at you. I'm gonna come at you, dog, for real. But
I don't even understand that. Like, what are you talking about? So you're implying that Canelo Alvarez kissed the ring. Canelo doesn't necessarily need the money, but who's going to turn down whatever they're offering him? It's business. You're telling me, like, I don't know if he was talking about the behavior with Crawford. I don't think that was it. But the fact that you're saying that his comments toward Turkey Al-Asik, which I thought were very disrespectful, right? Yeah. Very disrespectful. You're you know what I mean? You're celebrating that. I was like, wow, Tim, like, your company that you work for, Top Rank, if I'm not mistaken, or ESPN, whoever it is, they might end up under that umbrella. Like, how are you going to maneuver past that? And especially watching the disrespect that he spoke on this man for whatever reason. I mean, what do you think about Tim's comments?
I mean, I don't know, man. Like it's little odd, like this guy's. I mean, it's hard. It's easy to say something when you're not the one in that position, right? These guys are still fighting. These guys are still trying to make money. We don't know their situations. We don't know how much they owe on their house. We don't know how much their mother owes on her house, and you got to pay it off. And they need to get money. I try not to insult people for the moves they make because I don't, and financially, I mean, what they do for money, because I don't know what their situation is, and, I would have to think, I mean, if Tim Bradley was still fighting and had an opportunity to make more money just by simply interacting with this guy and trying to get something done, I would have to think he would do it. But I don't know what that means. Like, if you're a real one, and you don't go over there and try and get more money. Like, that's what they all do. Like, why would you not? Why would you, like, what's the point of getting less money if you could get more as a professional boxer when your career could be over in one fight? I don't know. I don't know what I must be missing some of the context. I really don't know what he means by, he's a real one, just because he refused to not go for more money.
Yeah, basically what he was saying in that clip was, you're standing on your 10 toes. It's more so based on Canelo. Like, he has a lot of hatred towards Canelo for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. And basically, Canelo and Gervonta were the two individuals that didn't go over there. Like, they didn't fly over there. A lot of boxers went over there. They wanted to get paid. So a lot of people feel like a lot of boxers went and kissed ass. Whatever, right? Canelo went over there, so now he has another way to dig at Canelo, and that's kind of where that went. And he said, hey, Gervonta, you didn't do that, but Canelo did. And he kissed the ring. And I'm
Listen,
just like,
you could fight in Las Vegas for $2 million, or in Saudi Arabia for $10 million. I mean, why would you not go to Saudi Arabia and fight for $10 million instead of $2 million? Why would you hate on that? I don't really know what that means.
No, absolutely. It just really, like, when I seen the comment, and I think I like Tim Bradley. I feel like a lot of the stuff he does is clickbait. Clearly, if you tune in more, I guess you value that whatever more, but he tends to come at Canelo a lot. And I'm just watching, I'm like, dude, like, I didn't see anybody kissing anybody's ring. I think two men met, businessmen. So, you there? Oh, man. Oh, there you go. You there? You had a call? You back on? Hold on. Yeah, you're going to have to go back and come back in because your audio went out. Hold on. But, speaking on the Timothy Bradley, we're going to wait for him to come back on. You're gonna have to get out and come back in. I think. I just felt like those comments were very unnecessary in regards to Canelo Alvarez. There you go, buddy. You hear me now? Oh, it went out. Hold on 1 second, guys. Gonna fix this. He's about to come back and come back in. There he goes. Let me fix his audio.
Okay.
All right, there you go, buddy. But let me just put this thing just in case the audio goes out. But I forgot what I was saying, but pretty much I just feel like, some of these guys do anything for clickbait, and in my opinion, I think you got to be more respectful on that. And I think a lot of these commentators are very biased towards certain fighters, but you said something interesting too. You said you was hoping that Canelo and Beterbiev would go down. I thought you guys weren't considering that at one point.
No, I mean, like, just me. I've never heard it brought up. I'm just saying, like, it would obviously be a big fight, money wise for Arthur.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would say, if that happened, obviously I'd be very happy about it.
Oh yeah, no, it's a big money fight, and again, it's a big exposure fight. I mean, it still could happen. I mean, I've heard rumblings. I don't know how true they are of Canelo being interested in Beterbiev, but again, it all stems on what happens, and I think Beterbiev's probably gonna win this fight and possibly fight Benavidez, which might be a big fight. Which he does. He could be the. I know you're gonna laugh. The unified interim, right? If I'm not mistaken. So wide of face.
I was told yesterday. I guess, like Benavidez and Morel, they're fighting for the WBA interim light heavyweight championship, right?
Yeah.
And then somebody else is fighting for the IBF interim light heavyweight. I think Boatsi, is fighting somebody for the interim championship, I believe, on the same show that we're on.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I was told. So if that's true, and I've seen this happen before, that means this is like a clown show. Like, two guys are going to be fighting for the interim championship of the IBF. Say it's the IBF. The IBF, even though the IBF light heavyweight champion is on the card fighting Dimitri Bivol.
Yeah.
How insane and stupid is that? Like, that's where we're at. They do it so blatantly now that people don't even notice it, or they just accept it. And me, listen, all respect to Morel and David Benavidez, but you guys neither of you are going to be the light heavyweight champion after you guys fight each other. Like, that's just it's an embarrassing joke. And I would think, I guess they couldn't say it publicly, but I would think they wouldn't want to. They don't want that. You don't want to win the okay, I'm the WBA light heavyweight champion, even though Arthur Beterbiev is the light heavyweight champion of the WBA. I'm the champion, even though he already is the champion. It makes no sense. It's so stupid. It's hard to even put into words that this is where we're at in this world.
Well, I want you to hold on to that thought. There's a question for you. Shout out for the super chat. Appreciate that. My guy DIL87 says, question for John. Arthur is big on weightlifting. When a while back trainers were saying to stay away from the weights. What is Arthur's stance on weights?
I mean, he bench presses or deadlifts. He deadlifts a lot. I forget what the figure is, but I remember a friend of mine's into weightlifting, and so I asked Arthur how much he deadlifts. And then I asked my friend, I go, hey, is this a lot? And he goes, really? Yeah, that's a real lot. Like, for a 175-pound guy like Arthur to deadlift that much. I don't remember how much it was, but whatever it was a lot. I've read, when I was growing up in boxing, I was always told weights are bad. Like, weights are going to slow you down. But I've talked to people in the meantime, last years, who've told me that lifting the weights in the right way is very beneficial to a boxer. I guess back in our day, even earlier, when you thought of lifting weights, you think of bench pressing 250 pounds. They're not talking about that. Like I know when I fought a few fights, like with Michael Nunn, which was probably the best I ever looked physically. I was doing every other day. I was doing light weights, a lot of reps with like 25 pounds and that type of thing, which I think helps me a lot. But to answer the question, I'm not sure how much exactly Arthur lifts. But I do know that people who know that type of thing have told me he lifts quite a bit. Like he's impressive with whatever he does lift.
Yeah, 'cause I noticed. I remember Frank Bruno, the heavyweight, back in the day. I think he fought it was Tyson, and he just looked too big. He was so stiff. So I always thought to me, like that type of a body's not good for boxing, especially if you're
Right. Well, that's the thing. Like you can lift weights if you do it right with the lightweight reps and stuff. You could look like Tommy Hearns as a middleweight and still lift weights, if you do it right. But to lift weights and bulk up, yeah, I would never recommend that at all.
Ring Magazine just tweeted something interesting. Check this out. The Ring can exclusively reveal that Turkey Al-Sik is currently in advanced negotiations to finalize deals for upcoming fights with Canelo Alvarez, Anthony Joshua, Terence Crawford, and Inoue, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and Teofimo Lopez. And there's actually more. This guy's doing a lot. Let me say this. Shout out to the Sheik. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to keep going down the list. Chris Eubank Jr., we're all hearing him versus Conor Benn. They're saying Conor Benn, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, Zepeda, Martin Barcoo, Anthony Yardy, and Adam Azim. I mean, that's a lot of money that's going to be going around. And this is I bring this up, and this is a great tweet, but I bring this up because I heard rumors. Shout out to Showbiz the Entertainer. I don't know if you follow him, but he's a really good blogger, very funny. And I think the Zone just signed him, if I'm not mistaken, right? And he came out and he said this in his live earlier or no, whatever. I forgot what it was. And he said that Turkey Al-Sik, this is what he was told. I don't know if it's from Turkey or somebody in his camp. And the reason I bring this up is for what you just said prior to the question, that he is in talks to buy all the sanctioning bodies and making one title per division. I mean, can we get any better than that? Like, if he would have pulled that off, and we all know money makes the world go round. How big of a step in the right direction is that for boxing? Like, what does that actually do?
I mean, they'd have to have extra bodyguards for him because some of these guys, they might be looking to take him out after all.
Really?
He's like a presidential candidate. He's coming. He's saying, all right, if I get elected, I'm going to do this, and that, and I'm going to mess everything up for all you guys that are making money on the side, and you're doing these deals, and I'm going to get rid of you, and I'm going to do my own thing the right way. So I don't know, man. I will say this. Like, I hate all the championships, right?
Yeah.
There's too many. Excuse me. There's too many. Now, I did like back when like Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard fought, when there was WBA and WBC. There was two, and then they could have the unification fights, Donald Curry and Milton McCrory. That was good. I liked that. Mm-hmm. That would be the most. Like, even I remember when the IBF came in. It was 1984, and Larry Holmes fought. I don't know if it was Bone Crusher Smith or whoever it was he fought, and it was IBF title. And I remember thinking, what do they need another one for? Like, why? And then the WBA came in a few years later. We don't need it. But if Turkey, if he really does all this stuff and just changes everything, it would be great. It would really be something. I can't see how it would be a bad thing. I think it would be more fair. He would have it where people would at least know who the middleweight champion. Do you understand? I'm in the game of boxing, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm in training camp right now with Arthur Beterbiev and Stephen Butler has a fight coming up. I don't even know who the middleweight champion of the world is. I don't. I have no idea. If you told me right now, I will give you $1 million. If you offer me $1 million to tell you who the WBC middleweight champion is, I'd have to let you keep the money. I have no idea. That's crazy.
No, I mean it is. I mean, and it shows. And listen, you make me feel better right now because sometimes when you say stuff, I'm like, shit, I don't even know what he's talking about right now. So it makes me feel like, okay, if John doesn't know, then that's a problem. Because if you ask my son, who's 5 years old, who's the quarterback of this team, he'll tell you. And that just shows fan engagement with that organization.
Right.
And I feel like we lack that. But Turkey, listen, I was very skeptical when Turkey came in, right? But the things that he's trying to implement, there's nothing you can do but be like, wow, like that can fix a lot of things. We're getting the better fights. We're getting more organization. He's buying Ring Magazine. He did a beautiful event that looked like the ESPYs. These are things that these organizations, the NFL specifically, has flourished in. And I think the fact that he's trying to implement it here would only make boxing that much bigger. Again, you're right. I don't know who's the champion at 160 right now. I think they took the belt away from Charlo.
But, not only that, but think about like Turkey brought Ring Magazine back.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. He brought Ring Magazine back. Because I remember when Ring Magazine left, and I'm like, what kind of world are we living in where you can't go to a newsstand and get Ring Magazine? And this guy brought it back to print.
To print, yep.
He's legit. Like that more than anything proves to me he's legit.
No,
more than anything.
And shout out to Ring Magazine. If you guys go right now and subscribe digitally or for print, there's 3 different packages. You get a magazine every month. You win a chance of winning like some crazy car. But it's still dope. I mean, you do need those type of things. That's prestigious, and I love that. Listen, I'm all in on Turkey, man. I'm a fan of him at this point. When I heard that, and this was a couple hours ago when I heard that, and I was like, man, that would be absolutely crazy. And another thing that I hate about the belts, and David Benavidez brought this up, ironically, and he said that as long as the fighter is valuable, like a Canelo who brings in 40 million, right? And these sanctioning bodies are getting 3% of the purse or whatnot. That's going to always allow them to want to listen to that fighter if he doesn't want to fight a particular fighter because the value, they don't want to lose the money. So you can sidestep fights. And I love that. Listen, I'm a huge Canelo fan, but at the same time, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. You know, the best should fight the best. If you're ranked number 1, you should fight the best. You shouldn't hold on to the title. And same thing with Gervonta Davis. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, he's fighting champions from 130, bringing them up. Bringing a guy from 140 who he feels or whatever, but is never unified. He shouldn't be a champion. And there's guys that didn't win the belt that are getting emailed the belt. That's crazy to me. Like, you're supposed to win it.
I saw that. I don't know who it was. And the guy, they said they contacted him on email. Yeah. And they said, congratulations, you've been elevated. Can you imagine you're a kid and you're like, when I grow up, I hope I can get an email one day and they tell me that I've been elevated to the championship of the world. Imagine you say, who'd you beat? Well, Roy Jones beat James Toney and, Bernard Hopkins beat Antonio Tarver and Muhammad Ali beat George Foreman. Who'd you beat? Well, they emailed me and I pressed receive. And I mean, come on.
Yo, listen, John, I'm with you. That's absolutely absurd. Listen, when we think championships, we think Ali standing over Frazier or we're thinking Tom Brady winning the championship, holding the trophy. We're thinking Derek Jeter.
Listen, man, you want to tell the story, right? Man, I was in there and Foreman was hitting me on the arms and I thought he was gonna break my arm, and I just said I gotta suck it up, and I gotta stay on the ropes, and I gotta break them down, and you tell the story, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now you got these just ridiculous nonsense, and you're the elevated champion of the world. I mean, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be the interim champion. There's not a kid alive in the silver gloves saying, I hope I'm the interim champion one day.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be the regular champion. It's a joke, the silver champion. You know, even in amateurs, you know, they have, like, I don't know how much you know about amateur boxing, but there's when you hear a guy and they say he's turning pro, he's a 8-time national champion, right? I've seen 14 times. That's nonsense. You're not a 14-time national champion. There's no such thing. You can win tournaments that are national tournaments that are open to everybody in the country. Technically, it's a national tournament, but there's only one nationals. There's USA ABF national. Yes, you can only be. In other words, I'll put it this way. I always use this as an example. If you ask me, in 1987, who was the light middleweight, junior middleweight national champion? Well, it was Gerald McClellan. Gerald McClellan won the nationals that year. He beat Timmy Littles in the finals. Now, Roy Jones won the National Golden Gloves that year, which is a huge title, but he wasn't the national champion. Gerald McClellan was. The guy who won the Ohio State Fair wasn't. The guy who won the PAL Nationals wasn't. The guy who won the Blue and Gold wasn't. The Mayor's Cup, those are all national tournaments, but there's only one national. Only one guy, a few guys, a couple, have won 3 national championships. One of them was Michael Bent as heavyweight. There was one 4-time that I know who was Michael Grogan back in the early 80s. But now you got press releases where they go, this kid out of Delaware, he's turning pro, he's a 14-time national champion. He's not. He won 14 national tournaments. It's the same thing as a pro. You're an interim lightweight champion, or you're the interim light heavyweight champion. But at the same time, Arthur Beterbiev is alive and fighting an hour and a half after you are on the same show. So he's the champion.
Yeah. Listen, it used to be a celebration in boxing when the champ was the champ. I mean, you're absolutely. Now it's become, hey, listen, we got a belt for you. Come get it. Like, to email somebody a champion, you could have had a tournament. You could have done anything. But you gave, and this is not a shot at Gervonta Davis, right? But you emailed him the belt because his value as a pay-per-view star is high. So 3% of what Gervonta gets, it's a lot of money. And it's just stupid. You got to earn the belt. And I know, you're right. Listen, in every other sport, there's parades for the champion. There's the excitement for the champions. In boxing, it's not like that. And boxing has messed up how prestigious winning a belt is.
And it used to be. It used to be. It used to be that way. I remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. I always, if you say, how big is boxing and how big is it compared to what it used to be? I'll tell you, I'll give you a very good example of the difference between back in the day and now, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. You could probably YouTube. Anybody watching, you can look this up on YouTube. And I remember like it was yesterday. When Sugar Ray Leonard retired, when he was going to retire after he fought Tommy Hearns the first time, and then he fought, I think, Bruce Finch right after, and he got the torn retina, right? So everybody was like, man, what's Ray going to do? Is he going to retire? Is he going to keep boxing? What's he going to do? They had a show, a dinner, live, I think it was on ABC in Washington, D.C. They had an event just to have Ray announce if he's going to keep fighting or not. That's how big it was. It was on network television. The whole country, the whole United States, tuned into ABC and watched just to see. It was like watching an election. And you're going, all right, let's see what he's going to say. And I'll never forget, he said, you might have heard this. He gets up and he goes, and they even had Hagler there because that was the potential fight. And Ray gets up there and he says, a fight between me and this man would be like Fort Knox, talking a lot of money. One of the greatest, I remember he said, one of the biggest fights in the history of boxing. And he hesitated and he said, unfortunately, it'll never happen. Thank you, and good night. And he retired. That was on network television. Wow. Now, you know who could do that today in the world of boxing, and if he was going to retire or not, would be big enough to be on network TV?
Who?
Nobody. There's nobody. There's nobody in the world that anybody would care enough to watch on network TV and wait.
That's
They tell
funny.
you, hey, guess what? Next Friday on ABC, Joe Schmo is going to get on there and he's going to tell us if he's retiring or not. Today, they'd go, listen, just tell us and we'll read about it in the paper tomorrow.
That's
Like,
funny you say that because Tyson Fury did that today. He got up on the mic. Hey, everybody, I'm retired. See you later. Everybody's making fun of him.
Right
It's
now,
crazy.
yeah, exactly. Like, and most people probably don't even know he did that.
Yeah.
It's not the same. That's my point. It's not the. Look it up after you're done with the show. Google it on YouTube. Sugar Ray Leonard retirement, 1982.
That's how big
it was
boxing
in. I
was,
think
yeah.
it might have been in Landover, Maryland, wherever it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was live. Howard Cosell was there. He was the MC of the event. That's how big it was. A retirement announcement was that big. There's nobody in the world. If a guy today thinks he's big, and I tell him, do you really think network TV would have your retirement announcement
That's
on
true.
network?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
There's no chance that the network TV would have you on it because nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows who you are. Back in the day, Sugar Ray Leonard, everybody knows Sugar Ray Leonard. He was as big as Jordan and Pele and Ali.
Well,
he was huge. Gretzky, he was huge.
I have to maybe disagree with you a little bit. I would say that pertaining to American fighters, because I think Canelo would do it in Mexico. He would have some huge.
Right, but not like I say, America.
Yeah,
network
America.
television.
Yeah, America. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
we couldn't do it. That's what I'm saying. Like in this country, you know, we used to have parades for guys. Well, I'll tell you even bigger thing. Back in the day, guys like Boom Boom Mancini, right?
Mm-hmm.
They fought in their hometown on network television, and they drew so many people. I'll tell you how big Vinny Paz was. Vinny Pazienza, before he became champion, right? Before he won the title. So one of his previous fights, it was like, I think it's on NBC.
Yeah.
He fought a guy in Providence, Rhode Island, during a blizzard. It was a blizzard. 16,000 people showed up at the Providence Civic Center to watch him fight in a blizzard.
That's crazy.
And he was not even world champion yet. You can look it up. 16,000 in a blizzard. Now, guys fought in their hometown. Marlon Starling fought most of his fights in hometown on ABC, CBS. You know, guys fought in their hometown because they were big, because boxing was big. They were huge stars. We have a couple guys in Hartford, right? Good fighters, up-and-coming fighters. They could never fight at the Hartford Civic Center. Like nobody would come see them. They wouldn't have the money to rent the Hartford Civic Center because they would lose money at the gate because nobody would come. It's a different world. You know, they're not building up fighters anymore. I mean, how many guys right now, up and coming guy, a 10-round kid, he fights 10 rounds. He's 15-0. How many guys are big enough in their hometown in the United States, in all 50 states, that could fight at the Civic Center where they live and draw 10,000 people?
Hey, right.
Hardly anybody. Back in the day, lots of guys used to do that. Sean O'Grady and Boom Boom Mancini, all those guys.
But it was more prestigious to be a champion. I feel like the lack of focus is on champions has been. Listen, think about it. Ryan Garcia. Let's think about the top four money getters. Right? You got Canelo. He's a champion. Okay. Gervonta Davis, he didn't win the belt. They emailed him. Ryan Garcia, he's not a champion. He's never been a champion. And those are your probably top three guys in the lighter divisions that make the most money. 2 out of the 3 didn't win the belt, which is crazy. Or like that's it shows you a lot. And I feel like boxing has been more obsessed with the money than the actual prestige of being a champion, and I think that's
for sure. These kids today want to be rich. They don't understand, you know. And I get sentimental, and people might say, "Oh, you know, you're an older guy, and you know, you're living in the past." But I'm talking about way before me, and I'm sure I told you the story about Archie Moore when they were going to stop the fight with Rocky Marciano. Did I tell you that?
No, you didn't tell me that.
Okay. This is what it was like back then. Archie Moore was fighting Marciano for the heavyweight championship, right? he's getting beat up. He's hanging in there, but he's getting beat up. He's getting hurt. And before the last round, before the 9th round, the referee comes over to him and says, Archie, or says to the corner, if he keeps taking abuse, I'm gonna stop this fight. This is too much. And Archie Moore said to him, and I'm just paraphrasing, but he said, listen, he goes, I'm a champion too. Like, I'm a world champion. He said, you got to let me go out like one. You don't stop the fight on the stool. Mm-hmm. They let him go. He got knocked out the next round. And he wanted to. Because he said, I'm not giving up my prestige as a champion on the stool. I'm not doing that. That's how much it meant to them. Yeah. Nowadays guys are like, oh, I can get stopped, or I'll quit because I'll get back in the rankings and they'll have me fight for a different title my next fight. I'll fight for the WBA instead of the WBC. They always have something to fall back on. Where back in the day, you could lose a title fight, lose your championship, and you may not got a title fight for 2 or 3 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now they're like, oh, they know in their head they're going to get another fight.
No, listen, and no disrespect to Rolly Romero, I remember they pretty much made up a belt when he was fighting. They just continued, hey, look, there's a fight that you said with the Benavides, and they made up a unified belt. It takes away, man. It makes it whack, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I remember, and this is funny, but my mother about 20 years ago, and even 20 years ago, people respected champions more, right? Felix Trinidad was staying at a hotel. My mother was a supervisor at the hotel, and she would clean up all the rooms and stuff. So she found out Felix was there. So Felix had his belts. Felix, don't get mad. My mother wasn't trying to. My mother goes to clean his room, right? And she knows she went in there and went for the belt and took like 100 pictures of her with the belts and bring them home. And she showed me, she's like, look. And I'm like, Mom, what are you, crazy? You could have got like in trouble. Like, she's like, I don't care, man. That's Felix. He's the champion of Puerto Rico.
But that's how much it meant. Right.
It was, but now it's like, bro, you say champion and people like, who cares about it? I'm like, it's
not a big deal. Like, they used to have parades. Mm-hmm. If you won a championship, Rocky Marciano, guys like that, they had a parade in your town for you. Nowadays guys become champion. And I remember when Roy Jones became champion, Pensacola, Florida, they did a rally, pep rally at this nightclub downtown called Seville Quarter. And Roy came in, they brought him in on this truck, and he's outside of the truck, and he comes down. They had a special big chair for him on the stage, and the whole town showed up. They welcomed home the champ, and people say that's the champ. And I remember, who was it? Willie Pep said, Rocky Marciano said when he was coming up as a younger fighter, they saw Willie Pep in New York City. Mm-hmm. And so he told his manager, let's follow him. Let's see what a champion does. Let's follow. And they followed Willie Pep around the whole day just to see what he does. What does a world champion do? They were curious. Yeah. What does a world champion do? Nowadays, nobody cares what the world champion does. Nobody cares.
And it's because only in boxing, the champion is just, first of all, it's just too many belts. There's no real celebration to it. And you never get the best fighting the best for that belt. It's always something stupid going on. And no, I'm with you. And Turkey Al-Sikh, man, you're our guy. He might be our knight in shining armor right now, bro.
He sounds good to me.
Listen, he bring back Ring Magazine. I know you said you love it. You love it.
It's awesome.
Bro, when I seen the presentation, how everybody was in suits and everybody's showing out and everybody's there. I wish there was more guys there, but this is the first one, right? When I seen it, I was like, dude, this is like the ESPYs. I want to see this. I want to be a part of that. For the first time in years, I'm like, I want to be a part of that. In boxing. I want to be there. And I think Turkey Al-Sikh needs to do one in the United States. He has to, you got to bring the prestige, you know what I mean? And these American fighters, especially American fighters, we all know you want to get paid. But at the same time, when you take pride in being a champion, you pretty much, you live forever, bro. Tom Brady took pride as a champion, Muhammad Ali took pride as a champion. Michael Jordan's probably the most competitive champion of all time. But they're called champions for a reason. There's not a lot of boxers you're going to be able to say are real champions, and I think that's sad. And, and let's look at it from the money aspect of it, right? Nike invests in champions. How many boxers do they actually sponsor? It's not a lot. Because they invest in champions, right? That's another check. And I think when we get back to promoting the best instead of promoting if I bought a $2 million watch, I think we'll get back into making boxing great again. And I listen, Turkey Al-Asik, man, if you can make this happen, bro, this would be amazing because he would be helping a lot of kids that are in the nationals. And that's another thing. I think there should be more coverage on the amateurs as well. I don't know when those things are going on,
Right.
And I think that would really change how people view boxing, to be honest with you. I think it'll be safer because there's so many eyes on it that you have to make it safer. And, I think it's just, I just hope he does it, man. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, I'm intrigued by this guy. Like, the stuff he says, I listen to what he says. I read the quotes and I'm like, yeah, he's on my wavelength, and, I'm a fan. And it's funny because I saw him over there. I was standing right next to him, but I never said a word to him.
I want to meet Turkey.
Yeah.
I want to meet him and I want to take him out to dinner. I don't want him to pay for anything. I want to take him out. I want to just listen, man. Like at first, like I said, I was weary, man. I'm like, this guy's coming over. Yeah, it's about money, but to me, what the things that he's trying to implement, again, Ring magazine was so prestigious.
Yeah.
The gold and red covers, and you know what I mean, and everything going on. Like it's just
every kid on earth. I still have Ring magazine, the first one I was ever in. Mm-hmm. I still have it, right? When you're in Ring magazine, you're like a king. Yeah. You dream of that. And every kid on earth that boxes, maybe not now, but back in the day, you wanted to be in Ring magazine, 100%, for sure. And so him bringing that back was huge for me, yeah, for sure.
I would love to actually work for Ring magazine. That would be actually awesome. But Scott, I know you're busy in camp. Send Arthur my love, man. I'm gonna be rooting the guy on. I'll be tuned in for the fight. I know you're busy out there. You're my guy, man. I tell everybody all the time, this is my favorite guy to talk to when it comes to boxing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And every time I call you, I don't like to call you a lot because I don't want to bother you, but trust me, man, we got to do this. I would do it every day if I could with you, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good luck. I'm definitely going to be, how far are we from the fight? Like about a month, right?
Yeah, the 22nd. February.
Man, about a month and a week. I'm definitely going to be tapping back in, man. I need some updates on that, on everything. And I appreciate you, brother. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for coming on and always speaking your truth, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Shout out to my guy, John Scully, man. The GOAT. This guy's the GOAT. Love this guy to death, man. I think more people need to interview my guy, John, speak to him. The guy's amazing. Someone that is very knowledgeable. I've learned a lot from him in regards to boxing. And, I'm going to continue to build with him. So I'm going to leave you at that. I appreciate y'all. It's a really good show. I got to get some things done. Love y'all to death. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I'll be on at 10 a.m., so I will have another show with my guy, Troy. And we're going to get it rocking. It's your boy, Norbs. We're out of here.